Hi, Mystery Recapped here. Today, I'm going to explain a sci-fi movie called The Silent Planet. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. The movie takes place in the distant future where an extraterrestrial species called the Oyin nailed it. Comes to Earth seeking help because their planet is in severe danger. The aliens arrive peacefully and show no signs of aggression, so humans allow them to stay at first. However, as the Oyin's numbers continue to grow, humans begin getting hostile, and the government ultimately starts exterminating the alien species. Next, we see a woman named Nia sitting with her friend, who asks her if she is sure she's willing to go ahead with. Nia says yes, and moments later, several cops arrive, and despite her attempts to flee, they end up arresting her. The story then takes us to an old man named Theodore, who has been sent to a distant planet 43 light years away from Earth to serve a life sentence. He lives completely alone in a barren land, and his days are spent mining minerals, which are sent back to Earth through an orbiting satellite. If he doesn't do his work properly, the biomonitor sensor implanted in his chest lights up and sends a signal to his work clothes, releasing electricity to warn him. The planet actually has conditions similar to Earth, such as gravity and oxygen, but its uneven air composition makes breathing difficult compared to Earth. So every time Theodore leaves his shelter, he must use a mask to protect his health. On top of that, one day on this planet lasts only 14 hours, making his life feel painfully short. Even though this means he gets 2 days for every 1 day that we get, so he's manipulating time, and now he's gonna kick our butts. His shelter is a small pod provided by the government, which includes some basic necessities. After work, Theodore goes home, eats dinner, and waters his vegetable garden. Then he spends his time watching TV, reading books, and talking to himself while remembering his wife, Mona. Since he has been living in isolation for so long, he has begun hearing voices in his head that constantly torment him. Every night, a purple alien gas appears to stalk Theodore, and it can hear his thoughts and even record them. One morning, Theodore is woken by a loud alarm in his chest, which only stops when he puts on his work clothes and leaves the shelter. Theodore isn't feeling well and doesn't want to go to work, but the alarm keeps ringing, leaving him no choice. He digs all day, and afterward, his health begins to worsen, even to the point of bleeding. The next day, the frustrated man takes a knife and cuts open his chest to remove the device. As soon as the object is out of his body, the spaceship's lights and alarms shut off. Days later, Theodore sees a spacecraft entering the planet's orbit, which means the people on Earth thought he was dead and probably sent someone else to replace him. Theodore is intrigued, as he hasn't seen another human in a long time. He then approaches the shelter and overhears a woman talking with her AI, who reveals that the previous prisoner is still alive. Although the biomonitor doesn't show signs of life, the satellite continues receiving mining data, which means Theodore is still working every day. The woman, who turns out to be Nia, asks her AI if she should kill the man, horrifying Theodore. Hearing this, the old man quickly returns to his shelter, worried for his life and unsure what to do. That night, he sneaks into Nia's shelter and steals her journal from the table before returning to his own place. Later, he opens the book, and a photo falls out showing an Oyin and a human girl. The entire journal is written in the Oyin language, and on the last page, Nia has written that she hates humans. We then see a flashback of Nia as a child, talking with an Oyin, when suddenly, a soldier arrives and orders them not to move. The movie then shifts to Nia's point of view, who lands on the distant planet as a prisoner, after which the spaceship that carried her pod leaves. The air on the planet makes her very dizzy, so the AI warns her that her body will take some time to adjust. The AI also reveals that the old prisoner turns out to still be alive, so Nia asks if she should kill him, which is overheard by the old man. However, the AI informs Nia that she doesn't need to do that, since the man is going to die soon anyway. It only suggests that she stay away from him, as his mental condition isn't stable. That night, Nia is in her bed when she hears the old man sneaking into her shelter, but she pretends to be asleep, showcasing her terrible survival instincts. The next day, Nia and Theodore cross paths while working in the mines, and he tries to communicate with her, but she ignores him. Upon returning home, Nia notices that her journal is missing, and the AI reveals that it was the old man who took it. This enrages Nia, and she storms to Theodore's door, lunging at him with a knife. knife while demanding her journal back. Theodore apologizes and returns the journal, after which Nia warns him not to come near her shelter again. After she leaves, Theodore is left relieved, realizing that she doesn't intend to kill him, or else she would have done it already. The next day, Theodore arrives at Nia's shelter to apologize for taking her journal, but she angrily tells him to stay away. He then asks her about what Earth is like now and if they still have TV, which only enrages her further. Theodore explains that over time she won't be alone and that voices will appear in her head. Nia feels bad for the old man and tells him about the state of Earth and that they still do have TV. Later, while working together, they finally introduce themselves and share their names with each other. The next morning, Nia leaves her pod and discovers a note left by Theodore, in which he invites her to dinner that night. However, he clarifies that it isn't a romantic invitation, as he has a wife whom he loves. Later, a confused Nia speaks with the AI and asks what crime Theodore committed to end up here. The AI claims to have no idea, but explains that humans charged with murder, terrorism, or treason are sent into exile on this planet. So, it's probably one of those. That night, Theodore prepares dinner and even brings out a whiskey he had been saving for a long time. Shortly after, Nia shows up, and the two begin chatting as they eat together. Theodore then tells her about the strange alien gas that appears at night, revealing how it hears his thoughts and even records and replays them. He asks Nia not to think about her personal stuff when the alien shows up, which leaves her stunned. Then he farts. Theodore then asks her why she wrote her journal in the Oyen language. It turns out that the old man can even speak a few phrases in Oyen himself, though he cannot remember how he learned them. Nia finally reveals that when she was a baby, her biological parents had thrown her out, after which she was found by an who raised her. She lived with them near the Black Sea, where most of the alien settlements are located. Unfortunately, when she was 10 years old, her Oyen mom and siblings were killed by the military, and she was adopted by a human family who were not kind. In a shocking twist, Nia admits that she had planned to behead the Prime Minister, who ordered the killings of all those poor aliens. But unfortunately, the woman Nia was involved with was an undercover cop. Nia was thus arrested and charged with treason and sent into exile on this planet. Upon hearing this, Theodore is stunned and says that the place Black Sea seems familiar, even though he can't recall exactly when he was there. He reveals that he has been living in exile for a long time and has forgotten most of the things about himself. Nia asks about his wife, and he explains that Mona was a school teacher just like him and is probably retired by now. Nia wonders how he ended up here, and Theodore reveals that he was framed for murder. He didn't even know the victim, who turned out to have worked with Mona. The authorities assumed Theodore had become jealous of the victim's relationship with his wife and killed him. It has been 15 years since he has lived alone, and he is grateful to finally have someone to talk to after all this time. Theodore thinks he might have gone crazy, but Nia assures him that everyone has different ideas of what crazy even is, and since they are no longer part of social life, it doesn't matter. Theodore then reveals that while talking to her, he has slowly begun to recall his past memories and recalls that he had a dog once, but he is still curious about the Black Sea, which reminds him of dark, thick water. However, Nia tells him that the Black Sea was just a name, and the water was actually blue, like other seas. So it wasn't thick either? Theodore, no water is thick. Theodore then asks about a name called Alana, which he noticed while reading her journal and wonders who it is. Nia becomes upset and doesn't want to discuss it, so Theodore doesn't push any further. It is implied that Alana was actually Nia's girlfriend, who turned out to be an undercover cop. Next, Theodore goes to make some tea when he suddenly begins hearing strange whispers and senses the alien gas moving towards him. This leaves him deeply shaken, and he sees another vision of his wife and a dark substance. Overcome with panic, he says that the gas knows what he did and is trying to make him relive everything he has forgotten. Nia feels bad for him and reassures him that what happened in the past no longer matters, since they're here now. She calls him by his name, but the old man suddenly says that his name isn't Theodore, it's Nathan, which he also just remembered. He wonders if he simply invented false stories and identities in his head after being isolated for so long. Upon hearing this, Nia is stunned, and since it is getting late, she decides to say goodbye goodbye and return to her pod. Later, we see a flashback of her childhood when she was with her family, and a soldier arrived, ordering them not to move. In a panic, the soldier shot Nia's Oyen mother and siblings, which left the little girl horrified. Afterward, a woman's voice was heard referring to the soldier as Nathan Flanagan and ordering him to leave. In the present, Nia recalls all of this and asks her AI if the old man here is the same Nathan who murdered her family, and if the authorities deliberately put them together on this planet. The AI claims to have no idea, which leaves Nia frustrated, so she decides to find out the truth on her own. The next day, while working together, Nia invites Theodore to have dinner at her place that night, to which the old man agrees. In the evening, Theodore arrives with some fruits, and Nia makes him sit and calls him Nathan. But surprisingly, the old man says that's not his name. He is Theodore. Nia then shows him pictures of the Black Sea, where she used to live with her Oyen family, and asks if it jogs any memories. Theodore says it does not, and claims he is confident he has never been there. He insists the word Black Sea only reminds him of something in the past, but that doesn't mean he has actually been to that place. Frustrated, Nia asks Theodore if he has ever been in the military, which he denies. He grows increasingly uncomfortable with her questioning and asks her to change the topic, but Nia refuses and continues questioning him. She then confronts him directly about murdering her family and trying to forget his sins. She also argues that he must have learned the Oyen to terrorize the poor aliens before killing them. Theodore denies everything, and in a fit of confusion, he shoves Nia and storms out of the pod. Upon returning to his shelter, he begins hallucinating Mona, who warns him not to let that mother discover his secret. Theodore argues that she is harmless, but Mona disagrees and urges him to kill Nia before she kills him. Back to Nia, she exits her pod and encounters the purple gas, which plays Nathan's memories, in which he speaks with someone named Vermin. Nathan calls the Oyens filth and says how they deserved to die, which enrages Nia. She becomes convinced that these are Theodore's memories and is further convinced that he is the murderer of her family. That night, Nia hears noises outside her pod and goes to investigate. In a shocking twist, she is attacked by Theodore, who knocks her out with a shove. While unconscious, Nia recalls the memories of the day the cops came for her, after which she was betrayed by her girlfriend. She soon wakes up and finds Theodore in front of her, pleading with her to believe his innocence and insisting that he didn't kill anyone, but she doesn't believe him and runs towards her pod, where she arms herself with a knife. Shortly after, Theodore shows up and tries to convince her that he's innocent, but Nia refuses to trust him since she heard his memories replayed in the alien gas. At this moment, Theodore has a flashback of standing near a window with Mona before sensing someone's presence. Back in the present, he shoves Nia, causing her to fall, so she attacks him before running away from the scene. Meanwhile, Theodore is engulfed by the strange alien gas and begins to recall his memories, in which he sees himself grabbing a knife from a drawer before heading to a room. Shortly after, Theodore arrives at the pod where Nia is, and she begins brutally attacking him again, demanding that he confess the truth. Theodore begins bleeding profusely and soon experiences another flashback in which he caught his wife being intimate with another man. She was making a noise that sounded a lot like "oh yeah," which made him hate those aliens forevermore. Mona was trying to explain herself, but in his rage, Theodore stabbed her and killed her. In the present, Theodore recalls all this and tells Nia that he remembers how he killed his wife. He breaks down in tears and begs forgiveness from Mona, while insisting that he didn't murder any aliens. Nia doesn't believe him and keeps beating him up, but soon notices her reflection in the mirror. She is horrified by what she has become and finally runs away from there, abandoning the old man. We then see a sentence: "Filth. They all deserved to die," and the name of Vermin is written on the wall. This means that the prisoner who hung himself here is Nathan, and it seems like the alien gas was replaying his memories and not Nathan's. Upon returning to her pod, Nia gets angry and breaks her AI device, after which she becomes worried about Theodore. She then returns to the abandoned pod and carries Theodore back to his shelter before leaving again. Afterwards, she opens her journal to write something and is stunned when she notices that she has written the name Nathan Flanagan on every page of her journal so that he doesn't forget the name of her family's killer. It finally dawns on her that Theodore is not actually Nathan, but he just read her journal and confused himself to be Nathan. Just then, the alien gas temporarily engulfs her ship, and she feels overwhelmed by negative thoughts from someone else's memory, causing her to cry. In the next scene, Nia returns to see Theodore, who is now on the brink of death. She asks if he confused himself with Nathan after reading her journal, and he admits it. He also reveals that back on Earth, he had an Oyen neighbor who was close to him and taught taught him a little of their language. Upon realizing her mistake, Nia breaks down in tears and she deeply misses her family. She says her Oyen mother would have been disgusted with her for trying to kill the Prime Minister, since don't experience feelings such as revenge. Theodore then says he doesn't think she actually would have killed the Prime Minister, since she didn't kill him when she thought him to be Nathan. He then offers to have her biomonitor implant removed and inserted into him instead, so that once he finally dies, she will be considered dead. In this way, she is free to live her life on this planet and won't have to work in the mines anymore. Upon hearing this, Nia tearfully agrees and then goes through the painful process of removing her implant from her chest, which is then placed into Theodore. Sometime later, the old man finally succumbs to his injuries, after which Nia covers him with a blanket and says her goodbye. As the movie ends, she climbs to the top of a small mountain and stares into the horizon without a mask, revealing that she is adapted to this new place.